Welcome to How Now, the podcast where we talk about how to live in the now. And here's your host, Kim Martin-Raymond.
Peace and blessings, love and light, and welcome to this special edition of the How Now podcast. I am your host, Kim Martin-Raymond. I'm a minister, spiritual life coach, holistic nutritionist, author, and founder of Redefining You LLC, where I help my clients to realign themselves, mind, body, and spirit. And if this is your first time joining us here on the How Now podcast, welcome. We're so glad that you're here. And all you need to do now is go to my website, www.hownowpodcast.com, click on your favorite podcast platform, and be sure to like, follow, share, and subscribe. You can also scroll to the bottom of the page, click on the banner for this week's show, and it will take you to the How Now YouTube channel, where you can check out my playlists, including my Tuesday, where I give a scripture verse every week. And I've been doing that since the beginning of 2024. And you can also check out some of the shows that you may have missed. So again, that's www.hownowpodcast.com. Check us out. Okay, so the last couple of weeks, you have not seen an episode of the How Now podcast. And that's because life has been lifing. You know, we hear that term all the time, and it's just life was lifing for me, and things got a little hectic for a minute there. And so I needed to take a little break. And it just goes to show that even when we want to prepare, and sometimes I prepare, I have shows that have been airing since 2020. And so I have a lot of shows in reserve. So every now and then you'll see me do a Rewind Wednesday of a show that I've done in the past that, got high viewership and just something that may have come around and needed to be heard again. So I post that show. And over the last 2 weeks, I was not in a condition to do that. Now, it wasn't any physical problems that I was experiencing. It was just exhaustion. I have been tired. I've been traveling a lot for work and, I was getting home and just exhausted. And so, this show is just going to be about me opening up about what's been going on, what's going to be going on for the future of the Now Now podcast, and things that have been going on with my wellness journey. I recently came up on the third year of my wellness journey. I started back in September. I started on Labor Day in 2021. And so a lot has transpired since then. And over these last couple of weeks, I've been taking time to pause and to reflect on the direction that I want to go in, not just on my physical journey, but on my mental and my spiritual journey as well. And that's something that you're going to find even in your own life. My focus for the last 3 years has been on my physical health. I lost 64 pounds and I've maintained 50 of those pounds off and have gone back and forth with the rest due to surgeries that I've had. I had surgery to remove uh, 11 and a half pounds of excess skin off of my body. I had a abdominoplasty and a folliculectomy, and I also had a breast reduction because I had a lot of excess skin that was impeding my spinal stenosis that was diagnosed 2 years ago as well. So my focus over the last 3 years has been on, my physical body. I lost the weight. I needed to get rid of the excess skin so that that way it wouldn't, affect my stenosis. And uh, just been trying to work on eating right and exercising and changing from doing cardio work to doing a lot more strength training and going through perimenopause and going through not having a cycle for 11 and a half months, and then all of a sudden it returned, it reared its ugly head, and thought I was on my way to menopause. A lot of things have been going on in my body physically, and I've had to make some adjustments. But I've learned so much along the way, and hopefully I'll have an opportunity to share those things with you, as the podcast continues to grow and to change. I'm going to take a little bit more time to let you know about some of the things that I've been experiencing, because I know that I'm not alone in this walk that I'm taking. I know that I'm not alone in getting to a space where exhaustion takes over sometimes, and the road is paved with good intentions. I've had intentions to, okay, let me go ahead and get this together so I can go ahead and post this, and the bed won. I, I went out, I'm just gonna lay down for a few minutes, and next thing you know, it was the next morning. And it was like, okay, can't rewind time. And so, you're gonna find that when life starts lifing, sometimes we have to listen to our bodies, we have to listen to our heart, we have to listen to our mind, and we have to extend ourselves grace. And that's something that's so, so very important that we have to learn even in this now. This is a highly, social and political climate that we're in right now, and we're all trying to seek ways to cope. And remember, my acronym for cope, which I, was blessed with from my girlfriend Sharonda Barksdale, you know, it means to create our peaceful existence. What are we doing to create our peaceful existence? What are we doing to cope in these times that we're in? And that's where, I started a journey this year of, having a mantra of toolboxes. My goal is to be your toolbox essentialist. You know what that means? That means that, I want to prepare you mentally, physically, and spiritually with the tools that you need to address those different aspects of your life, because no one size fits all. I want us to get to a place where when situations arise, that we know how to respond and not react out of fear or out of anger or out of frustration, but to get to a place where we can reach into those toolboxes for the things that we need to address the situations that we're in. I've said it plenty of times. You have a tire iron, and you have a spare tire, and you have a gas can in your car in the instance that something happens to your car. It doesn't mean that something happens to your car every day, but what we do is have those things to prepare for something that could happen. And so, why are we not looking to do that same thing in our spiritual, mental, and physical lives? What have we put aside? What have we stored to the side in the instance that something happens? We have a toolbox in our house that has hammers and screwdrivers and wrenches and things that we may need in case something happens. What are we doing, again, to prepare ourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually for the things that could happen? Again, so that we are responding and not reacting. We do a lot of that sometimes. And so, we have to get to a space of self actualization, knowing who we are, knowing what our triggers are, being able to look in the mirror and say, I kind of like what I see. Because sometimes we look in that mirror and we're looking in the background, we're not looking at ourselves. And so, as a toolbox essentialist, my goal is to help to equip us with the tools that we need when we need them, and so that we can address the things that are happening, because life is going to life. So, as I was saying, it had been a rough 2 weeks, but I'm coming up on a 5-year anniversary with my husband. We've been together 13 years, almost 14 years, and we're coming up on our 5-year anniversary. And We're going to spend some quality time, and I'm looking forward to that. It's a journey in every aspect of your life. Just like I said, I've been focusing on the physical aspects, and I'm getting to a good space, a good rhythm, because a lot of uh, a lot of adjustments had to be made. You know, when you're going on a wellness journey and you're saying, my goal is to lose weight, and then you get there, and then all of a sudden you're like, uh-oh, it happened. We tend to self-sabotage. And even though it was my goal to lose weight, there were certain things that I didn't anticipate. What happens when you lose the weight and your clothes don't fit? You got to replace all of those clothes. And trust me, over the last 3 years, I've been successful in replacing just about every article of clothing that I had because things did not fit. But I didn't anticipate that. I didn't factor that in when I was going through my weight loss journey, that I was going to have to replace my wardrobe. And that there was going to be a cost to that. Okay. Shouts out to Goodwill because and I call it the GW because we're spending a lot of time there. So I'm still in the midst of this journey and I'm still having to rotate things out, but that wasn't something that I anticipated. I didn't anticipate having to go through surgery to remove excess skin because I didn't consider that for my age. The skin, well, your skin loses elasticity. So, I didn't, I don't know why I thought things were just going to pop back into place. They didn't. And so it was important for me to do that. I didn't expect to get spinal stenosis. I didn't expect to not be able to run on my treadmill the way I was doing it and wearing my weighted vest and doing things like that. Now I do a lot of seated exercises, so I had to make some pivots. So I'm still doing my strength training and everything like that, but I do a lot of my exercises seated now. So there are changes that I had to make, things that I didn't anticipate and had to be prepared to make those pivots. And some of those things came at a cost. And so having to do that. I didn't expect to have to worry about medical bills and things like that from my surgeries. But these are all things that I had to take into consideration, and had to figure out how was I going to respond to these changes that were happening. Okay. Then, I had to think about my relationships, my relationship with my daughter, my relationship with my husband, my relationship with my granddaughter, my coworkers who I travel with a good portion of the year. And so, they have provided a wonderful support system for me, even as I'm going through this wellness journey. Those who I travel with, to Monica and Reggie, and they have traveled with me and have been cognizant of the food choices that I make so that way I'm staying on the path of wellness that I've created for myself. They've been there supporting me. My husband has been a great support and a cheerleader in all that I've been doing to get my body right. And I've tried to in turn help him as he's gone through some medical challenges and some health challenges that have required me to step in and be that support for him and to also be an example for my daughter and my granddaughter of what wellness looks like and what can happen when we're not well. And so, you know, fostering those relationships has been important. Making sure that even in all the travel that I have when I'm working and having to go out of town, making sure that I in turn make quality time for me and my husband, so that way our relationship continues to flourish and to grow. So that's something that's important as well. So it's not just, like I said, the physical, it's that mental and that spiritual aspect as well. What am I doing to feed myself spiritually? Okay. At the beginning of every show, I say that I'm a minister. I've been a minister, I think February coming will be 6 years. And, you know, I have, since COVID, stepped away from the church that I was affiliated with, but I still have my relationship with Christ. I still have, you know, my Bible study time, my prayer time, you know. But sometimes what happens is it waned a little bit because my physical goals started to impede on that. I made sure that I got up. I get up 5:30 every morning, and I made sure that I was on that treadmill or I was on that exercise bike or I was doing something. And then even when I started moving into my chair exercises, my focus became strong on that, and it started taking away from or started chipping away at that Bible study time that I had. Okay, and I had to stop and say, now wait a minute, I need to create some balance. And so I had to go back and say, okay, just like I'm focusing in on this physical aspect and I'm laser focused on what I'm eating and the strength training and all these other things. What am I doing to continue to partake of and nourish myself with the daily bread, that Bible? What am I doing to get back in there and be just as strong and fervent about that as I am about my physical appearance? Okay. Because sometimes what happens is when we can't see inside our body and see our heart, okay, it still begins to show. It becomes reflective in our actions. And so, you know, you have to check yourself. What do they say? Check yourself before you wreck yourself. I had to do that. I had to go back and assess and say, okay, wait a minute. My spiritual health is just as important as my physical health. Okay. Because my physical health, if it fails, is going to lead to death. And what's going to happen after death? I'm looking for everlasting life. And so I need to store up my treasures in heaven. And so I need to know the word and the promises of God because that's going to help me through any aspect of my life. And so that needed to take precedence. So I had to take a step back and check out my spiritual walk and make sure that that wasn't waning because I began to be concerned about how I looked. Because it's not just that outward appearance, it's that inside appearance that shines through, that gives people that beautiful aura that people say, you got that glow about you. That comes from inner peace. That comes from your relationship with Christ. That comes from an understanding of his promises and of the confidence and faith that you have in knowing that he is going to do what he said he's going to do. That's what that's what led me to start my Tuesday and to share a scripture verse and to tell people to take that deeper dive if the scripture verse that I shared resonated with them. It was important for me to do that because it wasn't just feeding myself, but I was also, extending that olive branch to others as well to say, hey, okay, if anything else, one day a week, you're hearing a scripture verse that you may not have heard. And if it's something that, again, piqued their interest, they could take that deeper dive. So it was important to foster that my spiritual relationship too, and to begin to fill that toolbox. What else can I do? There's a person that I listen to, and he does a scripture. I mean, he's going through the Bible in a year, and I listen to that on my way to work. That is something that I do. I used to listen to just my gospel music to be able to make that transition from home to work. And that worked for me. But it was also good to have that word in my spirit too, so that when I got there, if there was something that transpired, I had that word in my spirit and I carried it with me throughout the day. So, that was another tool that I put in my spiritual toolbox. So if I didn't have an opportunity to do a physical Bible study, I could listen to one. Okay, and then there are some days when I just needed a song in my heart. So like I said, I had my gospel, I had my little um Pandora, and I had my little station that I listened to, and and that helps to get me through. So so those are things that I'm building. It's like, what can I go back to? What is something that when I'm faced with a challenge, I can go back to? You know, I know that there are YouTube videos that I can watch if my exercise regimen gets a little stagnant. and I have people who I follow on there. So there's different information that's coming in that way. Like I said, I've got my Bible study, I've got my physical Bible, I've got my YouTubes that I listen to and inspirational channels that I listen to that help me as well. Okay, so that's what I'm doing there. And then for that mental aspect, okay, for that toolbox gets filled with information because I'm an educator. I've been an educator since I was 18 years old. Well, actually, since I was 16. And, have been working in the school system, have been working in childcare, have been a trainer for various childcare facilities, have been an approved trainer in various states and still am. And, I just consider myself a lifelong learner. And so, one thing that I always say is that you learn from your womb to your tomb. So there's always something that we don't know. There's something that we're today years old about that we didn't know. And there's some level of excitement in that. In knowing that we have access and that we're blessed to have access to so many outlets, so much technology. And there are some that may not have access to that technology. But we're blessed to have that access and, you know, just like we are diligent about finding that new pair of sneakers or those new that new outfit or that new bag or Temu, Shein, all these other things that are coming down the pipe that are grasping our attention, and then we go on this hunt for something that we're looking for. You know, we could be searching to increase our knowledge on something that we don't know about. One thing that I say in my trainings is, just like you Google everything else, Google something about what it is that that's in your career that may be a challenge and look to see what other people are doing about it. We're not limited just to what we're doing at the moment, but what we can do is see what other people are doing around the world and then saying, okay, well, maybe this is something that I can implement, not just waiting for the person that's, our supervisor or our direct report to wait for them to come up with the solution. Sometimes it's important for us to come up with some of the solutions on our own, you know? And when I think about that mental aspect, the more that we grow and the more that we take time to like my dad used to say, broaden our base, that's going to put us in a position to move if we become stagnant where we are. If we're not happy with our job, what are we doing to get ourselves in a better position? You know, it's not just about complaining or pointing the finger. I love that saying. Someone, I don't know who said it, when they said that if when you point one finger at somebody else, where are those other three fingers pointing? They're pointing back at you, right? And so it's a matter of sometimes looking within and saying, okay, what is something that I can do? If I'm not satisfied with something, what is it that I can do to be proactive in changing it? Is it something that I can, uh, change? Is it something that I can learn? Is it an adjustment that I can make? Because we have to remember at the end of the day that life is about choices. If we're going to work, we choose to go there. They're not coming to our house and dragging us out of our bed and making us to go there. We're making a choice to go. Now, reason for going may be different. You may be going because we need that money. We have bills to pay. We have loans to pay off. We have other obligations to our families, and to, our debtors. Okay. So what we have to do is, we understand that we have to work, but it does not necessarily have to be where we are. And sometimes when we get a position, we need to be looking about how we're going to exit that position. What are we going to do next? There are people who are entrepreneurs, and what they do in their business plan is talk about the exit strategy, what they're going to do to be out of that position in however many set number of years they choose. And so there are a lot of considerations to be made and a lot of choices to be made. And we make better choices the more informed we are. And that's my basis even for this show. How Now podcast, where we talk about how to live in the now. We're talking about things that scratching the surface on things that we may not know about. I may bring, talk about a show that was on something that I may not be familiar with, but may have been curious about. And so it's all about, like I said, just scratching the surface just a little bit, just to get you curious enough to say, oh, I think I want to know a little bit more about that, or to expose us to things that we wouldn't currently be exposed to kind of get us out of the bubble that we're in at times. Sometimes we don't want to look outside our front door, but we do have to step out there at some point. But the beauty of technology is that we can bring the world inside to us and begin to start looking at things that are going to help to empower us and to expose us and introduce us to things that if technology didn't exist, we wouldn't be exposed to. We'd only be exposed to what's in our neighborhood, what's in our immediate environment. And now we have opportunities to stretch beyond there. And so why not take advantage of that? There's an excitement to me that comes with being able to learn something new or being able to put my fingers on that keyboard and type in something, say, well, I want to know a little bit about this. I've never heard of this. And be able to get different perspectives. And then to say, okay, well, now I've got to make a conscious decision about whether this information is valid or not. There's a lot that comes with our mental toolbox and being able to say, okay, as many things as I can put in there, as many things as I can learn about, as many things as I can write down. I may hear a word and I say, well, I never heard that word before. Let me write that down. And then go back to my dictionary and go and look it up and say, oh, that's what that means. Oh, that's how you say that. Wow, I learned something today. So like I said, we have the ability to be lifelong learners and the technology to support that. And so it's exciting to do something new. All of these toolboxes that we have a purpose because there are so many different aspects of our lives that need to be addressed. And like I said, there's no one size fits all. There's no magic bullet for how we cope with things because there are different variables that take place. We have commonalities, and that's what connects us. When we're going out, we're looking for people who look like us, or we're looking for people that have had a similar experience, and we tend to gravitate to those people. And that's a beautiful thing, when we're able to go and reach out and meet people and are excited that, we're not the only ones going through this. There are other people that are experiencing this. And what are they doing about it? But at the same time, we can have similar experiences, but there's one, two little variables that come into play where it's like, okay, yeah, we're similar in this, but there's just one little thing that's different here. And that may change how we respond to that situation. And that's why everybody's toolboxes are going to be different. They're going to be tailor made and individualized to suit you. So it's a matter of saying, okay, this is something that's going to be useful for me. So I'm going to keep this in my toolbox. You know, not everybody learns the same way. There are people who, write everything down. There are people who I know who have stacks and stacks of journals because they've been writing for years. And there are some who are like, I'm not going to sit there and write anything. You know, they may have a different way of remembering things, or they may have a different way of expressing themselves. Okay. They may express themselves through song. They may express themselves through dance, through movement. And that's what brings them life. Or that's their stress reliever. Or that's their way of expressing themselves through art. So everybody has a different modality in how they address things. And that's why your toolbox is going to be different. All I can do is just say, hey, I got this hammer here. Will that work for you? Somebody's going to say, yeah, that's just what I needed. And then maybe somebody else will be like, no, that's not quite what I'm looking for. But that's where it's important for us to know thyself, to start really getting in a relationship with ourselves, really taking a hard look at ourselves in the mirror and saying, okay, what is it that I need? And not being afraid to ask for help when we need it too. You always hear all of these cliches. No man is an island, there's no I and beam, all these things that we're hearing. And we have to be able to say to ourselves, okay, this is what I need at this particular time in this particular space. And if I don't have it or I don't have the resources, then I begin to start saying, okay, well, now I'm going to need to ask for help so that I can get what I need. And sometimes we don't know what we need. And that's where we can go online and just say, okay, I'm having this feeling, you know, what is something that I can do? Or what does this mean? You know, we have to be our biggest support. We have to be our biggest advocate, especially when it comes to our health, our mental health, our physical health, and our spiritual health. We have to be advocates for ourselves. And sometimes it's a matter of asking the question. You know, when I go to the doctor, I know I'm going to make a $40 copay. Guess what? I'm going to ask $40 worth of questions. My doctor already knows. When she sees me coming, she's like, oh, here comes my star pupil. I know you got questions. And she just comes in and takes a seat. Have you ever been to the doctor and you go and you see that doctor's like posted up against the wall because they're only going to be in there for 5 minutes and then they're going to step on out. And if you done paid your copayment, they're going to make you wait 20, 30 minutes and then they're going to come in that office and, yeah, okay, how you feeling? You doing all right? That's great. All right, see you next time. And off they go. My doctor already knows. Come on in and have a seat. How you doing? You all right? You good? And then, like from there, I'm like, okay, I have some questions. And I'm going to make sure that anything that I may have been experiencing before I got there, I'm going to write those questions down because I don't remember anything. Okay. I have issues. I get brain fog, just like everybody else who is going through menopause, perimenopause, and all those other pauses. Okay. I I have to write things down. So I know in anticipation of going to the doctor, I will write down a list of things that I want to remember to ask because sometimes in my frustration for having to wait, and then they finally come in and start talking, and then all of a sudden, as soon as they step out the door, that's when you remember the 99 questions that you had. And now they're down the hallway and going to the next person, and now you got to wait 3 months before your next appointment. Don't forget to ask the questions then. So it's a lot. It becomes frustrating at times. So, for me, I have to write it down so that way I can ask the questions. And sometimes we don't know the questions to ask. And that's where that research comes in. They said I have this disease. Well, what does that mean? And I don't want a pill. I want to stop it. What can I do? I don't want to put a band-aid on it. I want to cure it if it's curable. And sometimes our doctors don't tell us, they'll tell us, oh, well, you have this, that, and the third. Okay, so what does that mean? And what can we do to resolve it? Besides go to the pharmacy and pick up that prescription. What can I be doing in the interim? What can I be doing in the meantime until it's time to pick up that medication? Are there any exercises I can do? Is there anything I can do? When I was diagnosed with my spinal stenosis, I said, what is it? What is something that I could do? What can I do in the meantime? What can I do if this medication doesn't work? Are there any exercises that I can do? Is there anything that I can do to relieve this? We have to be informed so that way we know what to ask. And if we don't know, we start digging and start asking other people. I have spinal stenosis. What have you done? Can anybody tell me what they've done to alleviate some of the pain? What is something that they've done? And then start seeing where people have been going to research because we don't have the answers for everything. But it's important for us, again, to advocate for ourselves and to ask for that help. There are coaches, holistic nutritionists. I'm both, but there are people out there who are willing to help. The answers are within, yes, and we hear that a lot too, because as coaches, we're not coming in and telling you what to do. but we're creating safe spaces. At least in my instance, I'm creating a safe space for people to hear themselves by asking certain questions and poising certain situations so that way it causes you to think and to say, okay, because sometimes the answers are inside of us, and it's not until we hear them coming out of our own mouth that we realize that and can begin to act. You know, we don't just get into our cars and start driving if we don't know where we're going. If it's a new place, what do? We turn on our Waze, our Google Maps, whatever we turn on, and then we figure out where it is that we're going, and we begin to we start driving. We don't say, "Oh, I have to be someplace I've never been. I'm just going to jump in the car and hope I get there." Does it make sense? It has to make sense. Okay. My favorite thing to say is hashtag memes. That means hashtag make it make sense. Okay. I'm gonna make a shirt. Okay. But yes, it has to make sense. And so, you know, when we're talking about going and doing something, what is our goal? What is our destination? And we have to think about the best way to get there. And sometimes if it's too far, just like when we're going to a location, we may be going out of state. Sometimes it requires us to have an additional driver because we are not going to be able to make that trip on our own. Sometimes we need help. It may be one or two people, or even three, depending on the distance that we're going. Okay. So we have to stop and say, all right, is this journey that I'm about to go on, is it going to require a second driver? Is it going to require a co-pilot? Am I going to need someone who's going to help me to be able to reach that destination in a safe manner, you know, and with minimal risk? Sometimes it's a matter of asking that question. What is it that I need for this journey that I'm about to go on? Because we know that life is not a sprint. Everything is about a journey. This wellness journey that I'm going on is a journey. The spiritual journey that I'm going, it's a journey. The mental is a journey. Like I said, you learn from your womb to your tomb. That's your lifetime. So everything is a journey, and we have to be able to pace ourselves so that we can reach that victory line that we're looking for. And it's your personal best. It's not you competing against that person to the left or the right of you. It's always seeking to 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 have one small success each and every day, one little thing that we're doing that's a little better than what we did yesterday. But also realizing that there are some days where we just have to sit down. I love that little TikTok, or I don't remember whether it was a Facebook where they started singing, "I'm about to go." That was me over these last 2 weeks. I need to go lay down. My body needed the rest, and we have to be able to respond to our bodies. It has been heartbreaking over these last couple of weeks to hear about so many celebrities passing, you know. Every time someone passes, I don't know if you're like me, but all of a sudden, you start checking yourself like, wow, man, especially if that person was close to your age, you're like, wow, that could have been me. Or wow, it just makes you take a step back and reflect on your own life. Am I living my life, or am I just existing? Sometimes we get so caught up in the things that we're doing, we become almost robotic in the things that we're doing. We get up, and I'm guilty. I've said this in trainings that I've done over the years. 5:30, bam, get up, you know, go to the bathroom, bam, wash straight, bam, put on the coffee pot, bam, go down and exercise, bam, smack up and take a shower, bam, put on your clothes, bam, go to work, bam, 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 bam. It just becomes a checklist. Everything I'm doing, and I'm just existing. I'm not living. I get to work and I didn't realize, well, how in the world did I get here? I just know that I showed up in the parking lot, but I couldn't tell you what was going on the way there because my mind was everywhere else but on what was going on around me. To stop to even say, oh, was it raining? I don't even remember. It was raining? How scary is that when you don't realize that? The windshield wipers were going. You had to turn them on, right? So a lot happens, but we can get so caught up in our thoughts and all those other things that we don't stop to look at what's happening right now. We don't take the time to be present. That's why we talk about how now, okay? Because it's not what now, it's how now. How are we navigating in the space that we're in? And is it to our good? Is it, is it productive? You know, is it safe? So there are a lot of things that we have to take into consideration when we're living our life. We open our eyes in the morning, and what I challenge you to do is put your hand over your heart, and just like it says, what is that beat? That's purpose. We're waking up, and we have a purpose in this life to do something in this day. And if you're a spiritual person like me, you wake up and you say, Lord, what is it that you would have me do today? That you may receive glory and honor in this day, in this new day. What is it that you would have me to do today? And then to walk in that obedience and to be present enough to realize and see the things that are coming before us, not after they're behind us and we aren't able to turn around. So, it's really a matter of stopping and taking time to again smell the roses, to see what's happening around us, to listen. I do a training on safety and supervision for some of the child care centers that I go to visit. And we just talk about active supervision. We're not just watching the children, we're listening as well. We're listening for that, ouch, stop, you hurt me. Hey. We're looking for those balled up fists or those frowns or those eyebrows. We're looking to see the full and complete picture of that child. So that way we know how to respond and not react after they've been hurt or injured. We're actively supervising. We should be actively supervising our lives, actively looking around and seeing what's going on around us before something happens. We're anticipating things that may happen, and that doesn't mean that we're living in fear, but what we're doing is preparing ourselves again with those toolboxes so that way when things happen, we can respond. Oh, I have something for that. Oh, wait a minute. There's a scripture verse that speaks about that. Those are the kinds of things that we want to do. We want to be able to recall and be able to say, just like we with confidence, when we get a flat tire, we know that spare tire is in the back. We hope okay, that spare tire is in the back and that tire iron is in there because we put it in there for that case. Or if we run out of gas, we are okay. I know that I put that gas can in the back of the car, so we immediately go straight to it. Something happens in the house. Oh, the toilet is overflowing. We got that plunger sitting right there. It's been sitting there. It may have been collecting dust because we haven't had to use it in forever, but it's there when we need it. Same thing with the toolboxes that we are creating for our lives. We want to be able to say with confidence, oh, wait a minute, I know where that is. Oh, wait a minute, let me go and grab that. Okay, I'm ready for that, you know? And then there are going to be times where we're not ready. Or there's going to be times even more where we have the tools, but we don't know how to use them. And again, that's where we ask for help. We can have all the tools in the world, but if the car breaks down and we're not a mechanic and we don't know how to do it, we're gonna have to ask for help. Plain and simple. So there are going to be times we're going to have that hammer, that screwdriver, and we're not going to know what in the world to do with it. We have it, but now we're going to need some assistance. And that's where coaches and mentors and other medical professionals can come in and assist us. We have the tools, and sometimes we don't know how to use them, and that's where they come in to show us how to best use them. And that's what's going to help us to be successful. We're being cognizant of the things that are happening in our bodies, the things that are happening in our minds and in our spirits, and being honest enough with ourselves to say, okay, I'm ready to start filling those toolboxes, but I don't know where to start. And then we're going to ask for that help and not be ashamed to ask for that help because it's going to make us better. It's going to make us stronger. Think about if you're a young lady and your dad showed you how to change that tire, how empowered you felt when that tire went out and you started doing it. Somebody gonna come along and help you anyway. But at least you knew what to do. That's a blessing. It's a blessing. That's something that we can say, okay, wow, you know, I knew how to do it, and I wasn't challenged to have to do it, but I know that in a pinch I can, and that's going to help to relieve so much of the stress that we go through. Some of it's unnecessary or unwarranted because we we don't, we're too proud. We're too proud. I got it. I can do it. Sometimes we have to adjust our cape and let somebody else help us to get where we need to go. You know, the biggest thing that they say is, a closed mouth doesn't get fed. So if we don't open our mouths to ask for help and we assume that people know our struggle or our plight, sometimes if you don't ask for help, they think you're okay. We get a lot of that with our strong people. I'm one of those people that has a strong personality. I'm that person that people tend to call if they need something, but every now and then I need something too. Every now and then, don't assume that because I'm always there to help somebody else, that I don't need help myself. You hear people say that coaches need coaches as well. We all do. None of us are above needing assistance because we can't do everything alone. You know, together we can lift each other up and encourage each other up. And that's my goal. My goal is to encourage and to empower, and again, to be that toolbox essentialist that comes in and says, okay, this is something you can put in your mental toolbox, or this is something that you can put in your physical toolbox, or this is something that you can put in your spiritual toolbox that's going to help, again, to respond and not react. So there's so much that I'm looking forward to sharing with you all, and that I hope that you in turn will reach out and share with me. Let me know some things that on your mind, some things that you may want to know a little bit more about, and we can walk on that journey together. Okay? We can hold hands, we can pass the baton. We can do whatever is necessary to help us to get where we need to go. Always looking to lift each other up and not push each other down. That's what we're seeking to do. At least that's what I'm seeking to do. And so one thing that I'm looking to do is in this last quarter of the year, I'm going to be sharing some of my previous shows that you know are some things that we can put in our mental, physical, or spiritual toolbox that will help us in preparation for the new year that is coming. So it will not be new shows. There may be a couple of lives that I may be sprinkling in there here and there. But I will be posting some of the Rewind Wednesday shows, and uh it's all going to be in preparation for a challenge that I am going to be starting next year, and I'm so excited about it. And I'll tell you what that challenge is. The challenge is for you to have wellness 365 days out of the year. So, sometimes we start a physical journey and then after a couple of months we fall off and we have to go back on and things like that. I am challenging us to enhance our wellness, mind, body, and spirit for 365 days next year. So it's a year of wellness where we're touching on all aspects of wellness and seeing if we can be consistent with our health, consistent with our our study, our Bible study, or our spirituality, however we choose to you know, experience spirituality. And then also with our mental, what are we doing to learn? Whether it be a challenge to go back to school or to read a certain number of books out of the year. So over these next couple of months, I want us to start preparing for that and getting ourselves ready for that challenge because we want our wellness to be a lifestyle. We want it to be something that that is habitual. We want it to be something that that is almost second nature, you know? And we can't do that if we don't first challenge ourselves. We've got to be able to push ourselves, you know, in order to, you know, when we apply pressure, beautiful things come out of it. Think about a diamond, okay? That pressurized, you know, feel sometimes is necessary for us to create that thing that's beautiful. I've said this a long time ago, back in one of my trainings that I did on redefining you a long time ago. I said, you know, sometimes we have things that happen in our lives and it shatters us. It creates those shards of glass. But once we start the healing process, those things come together and they create a beautiful mosaic that is unique and individual to each and every person. No one's mosaic is the same. So even though those shards of glass may have been sharp and they may have hurt at the time that they were created, when we begin to heal, when we begin to be inspired and encouraged by the things that are going on around us, it creates that cement, that glue that brings those shards together and creates that beautiful mosaic. And that's what we're going to be attempting to do in this coming year and over these next couple of months, starting to position and prepare ourselves. Like I said, we're going through a critical political and social time in our existence. And it's going to be important that we prepare ourselves, that we prepare our toolboxes with things that we need to to be able to combat anything that comes our way moving forward. So again, it's going to be that wellness challenge, 365 days. What are we going to do? What is each step that we're going to take? And we're going to take it day by day. Every day is going to be a challenge. What have I done today? What have I learned today? Did I say a prayer today? Was there a word of inspiration that I had for today? Did I drink my water? We're not talking about monumental things here. I'm talking about the smallest of things. Just just going in that direction. It takes 66 days to create a habit, not 21, but 66 days to create a habit. What are some things that we're doing? I've started already. I gave up added sugar about 3 months ago, and you know it had I feel better. I've lost a couple of pounds, but I feel better. And so I know that this is something that's going to benefit me and I'm not looking to go back, you know? And so those are the things. What are some small things that you can begin to do to start, you know, living a life of wellness? Because too many of us are losing our lives and not being consistent in taking care of ourselves and advocating for our physical, mental, and spiritual health. We have to be advocates. We have to be willing to, you know, step out on faith. We have to be willing to practice self-love and self-care and start doing those things that are going to help to create the best versions of ourselves that we can. Okay, so we got a lot of work to do, but we're here to support each other. I'm here to support and encourage you in that journey, in that walk. Always know that you can reach out to me. You can email me. You can contact me. My contact information is online. You can DM me on social media and reach out and know that I'm here to partner with you, to walk with you as we go through this 365 days of wellness together. So again, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to all that's going to transpire in your life and in mine. And know that, I may not see it till the end, but if this can be a place where you can stop in and get a little ray of sunlight, or you can come in and get a little bit of watering, or a little bit of planting of seeds in your spirit, then I hope that I can do that and be a little part of your journey. And with that, I'm going to say that I'll do it for the How Now podcast, where we talk about how to live in the now for this week. Again, reach out to me through my website, through my social media handles. Go online to my website, www.hownowpodcast.com, and it will take you to those links. And know that I am here to support you all the way. And with that, again, I'll say goodbye until the next time. And until I see you then, I say peace.